For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a crisp autumn morning in 2006, 13-year-old Brendan McHale set out with his Boy Scout troop into the rugged beauty of Hocking Hills, Ohio. Deep within the winding Cantwell Cliffs maze, he briefly separated from his patrol for a dropped glove. He never reappeared. Despite an extensive investigation by park rangers and tireless search parties, Brendan vanished without a trace. For 10 agonizing years, his family lived with unbearable uncertainty, clinging to hope that their son might one day return. Then, in 2016, a chilling discovery was made, wedged deep within a narrow sandstone crevice. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Brendan McHale. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Brendan McHale, a 13-year-old first-class scout, possessed an infectious enthusiasm for the outdoors. His uniform, still crisp from recent laundry, spoke of a dedication to the tenets of scouting, and his eagerness to explore the rugged beauty of Hocking Hills, Ohio, was palpable. On a crisp autumn afternoon in 2006, Brendan embarked with his patrol into the heart of Cantwell Cliffs, a geological marvel renowned for its deep gorges, towering sandstone formations, and an intricate, often disorienting, maze of trails. The area, with its ancient forests and cascading waterfalls, offered a breathtaking panorama. Yet its labyrinthine passages and treacherous crevices also presented a formidable challenge to even experienced hikers. The patrol moved with a youthful energy, their chatter echoing softly against the towering rock faces as they navigated the winding paths. They had spent the morning traversing a particularly demanding section, their boots crunching on fallen leaves and scrambling over exposed roots. As the afternoon waned, the group approached a natural rock staircase, a series of uneven steps carved by millennia of erosion. Here, the patrol, perhaps momentarily lulled by the rhythm of the hike, allowed their formation to loosen. Brendan, bringing up the rear, paused, realizing his left glove had slipped from his pocket. Without a word to his companions, who were already ascending the first few steps of the staircase, he turned back, intending to quickly retrieve it. His last known action was a momentary glance over his shoulder at the ascending patrol before he descended the path he had just climbed. Minutes later, a ripple of unease spread through the patrol. Brendan had not rejoined them. Initial calls, lighthearted at first, quickly gained an edge of concern. "Brendan! Brendan!" The shouts grew more urgent, their voices now tinged with a dawning realization that something was profoundly wrong. The patrol leader, a year older and suddenly burdened with immense responsibility, ordered everyone to stop and listen. Only the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a bird answered. A frantic, immediate search began, the scouts fanning out from the base of the rock staircase, their youthful exuberance replaced by a chilling sense of dread as the vast, silent woods seemed to swallow their calls. The initial minutes were a blur of escalating panic, a desperate attempt to retrace the last steps of their missing scout. The immediate shock of Brendan's disappearance quickly galvanized Scoutmaster Erin Dallel into action. Her voice, though strained with an emerging dread, cut through the scouts' rising panic as she systematically organized an initial perimeter search, while simultaneously alerting park authorities. Within the hour, the tranquil autumn afternoon was shattered by the arrival of official vehicles, their flashing lights a stark contrast to the ancient forest. Park Ranger Cody Wiles, a man whose quiet demeanor belied years of experience navigating Hocking Hills, treacherous landscapes, swiftly assumed command of the burgeoning search operation. Cantwell Cliffs, a geological marvel that typically drew visitors with its breathtaking vistas, now revealed its more sinister aspect. The very features that made it beautiful, the deep gorges, the towering sandstone formations, the intricate maze of narrow passages and hidden crevices, transformed into formidable obstacles for the search teams. Dense foliage, already beginning to shed its leaves, created a thick, rustling carpet that swallowed sound and obscured sight. Precipitous drops and unseen sinkholes riddled the terrain, making every step a calculated risk. The sheer vastness of the area, combined with its disorienting natural architecture, presented an immediate and overwhelming challenge. Despite the rapid deployment of resources, the initial hours of the investigation yielded nothing. There were no footprints beyond those of the patrol, no discarded gear, no torn fabric, no sign of struggle. Brendan McHale had seemingly evaporated into the ancient landscape without leaving a single, discernible trace. The absence of any clue, however minute, was profoundly unsettling. As daylight faded, the search intensified, transforming into a desperate race against the encroaching night and plummeting temperatures. Over the ensuing days and weeks, the search for Brendan McHale escalated into one of the largest and most intensive operations Hocking Hills had ever witnessed. Hundreds of volunteers, local emergency services, specialized rescue teams, and K-9 units scoured every ravine, every rock shelter, every inch of the bewildering maze. Helicopters with thermal imaging technology flew methodical patterns overhead, their whirring blades a constant, mournful hum. Yet, the relentless effort, the countless hours expended, the sheer manpower deployed, produced no results. The initial spark of hope, fueled by the dedication of so many, slowly began to flicker and die, replaced by a growing sense of frustration and desperation that settled heavily upon Ranger Wiles, Scoutmaster Dallel, and most agonizingly, Brendan's family. The boy had simply vanished. The relentless, desperate search for Brendan McHale gradually yielded to the inexorable passage of time. The initial flurry of activity, the hundreds of boots on the ground, the aerial sweeps, and the K-9 patrols, all slowly dwindled. Weeks bled into months, and the vibrant autumn leaves that had witnessed Brendan's last known steps gave way to winter's stark silence, then spring's renewal, and summer's full green canopy. Each seasonal change brought with it a fresh wave of grief for Brendan's family, a stark reminder of the son who was not there to experience it. The initial, fervent hope for a quick resolution transformed into a gnawing uncertainty, then a profound, aching void. The questions surrounding Brendan's vanishing remained painfully unanswered. Where had he gone? What had happened in those critical moments after he turned back for his glove? Without a body, without a single piece of discarded gear, without even a footprint beyond those of the searchers, law enforcement had no tangible leads to pursue. The case, once a high-priority emergency, slowly began its descent into the chilling category of a cold case. Occasionally, a flicker of renewed hope would emerge. A new volunteer group might organize a smaller-scale search, or a hiker might report an anomaly in a remote part of the park. Each time Ranger Wiles would dispatch a team, the dormant file temporarily reactivated, only for the tip to lead to another dead end, further solidifying the case's intractable nature. The emotional toll was immense and widespread. Scoutmaster Aaron Dallel carried the weight of responsibility, forever replaying the moments leading up to the patrol breaking formation. Ranger Cody Wiles, a man accustomed to finding solutions in the wilderness, found himself haunted by the one puzzle he could not solve, his professional pride and personal commitment deeply scarred. The community of Hocking Hills, initially united in their search, eventually settled into a somber acceptance, Brendan's name whispered as a tragic reminder of the wilderness's unforgiving power. The official file on Brendan McHale's disappearance remained open, a testament to the unresolved mystery, but for all practical purposes, it lay dormant, gathering dust through a decade of agonizing silence. 10 years passed, marking a decade of unanswered prayers and a chilling absence that had become a permanent fixture in the lives of those who remembered the lost scout. The passage of 10 years had etched the tragedy of Brendan McHale's disappearance deeply into the collective memory of Hocking Hills. A full decade had now elapsed since the autumn afternoon when the 13-year-old scout vanished, leaving behind only an enduring void and a file that grew thicker with unanswered questions. For those directly involved, Brendan's family, Scoutmaster Dallel, and particularly Ranger Cody Wiles, the milestone of 10 years was not a marker of closure, but a stark reminder of the persistent, gnawing uncertainty. The wilderness, it seemed, had held its secrets well, defying every attempt to coax them from its ancient embrace. Then, on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday in October 2016, a casual hiker, venturing off the marked trails into a less frequented section of the Cantwell Cliffs maze, stumbled upon something profoundly out of place. Tucked deep within a narrow, almost imperceptible sandstone slot, barely wide enough for a hand, lay a small, dark object. It was a pocket knife, its once bright metal dulled by a decade of exposure to the elements, wedged firmly between the unyielding rock faces. The hiker, recognizing the potential significance of such a find in this remote area, carefully photographed it before contacting park authorities. Ranger Wiles received the call with a mix of practiced skepticism and a flicker of the old hope that never entirely died. He dispatched a team immediately. The location was indeed remote, a tight fissure in the rock face, easily overlooked by even the most diligent searchers. When the recovery team carefully extracted the knife, its details became chillingly clear. It was a standard Boy Scout-issue pocket knife, the kind many young scouts carried. Crucially, a dark, braided lanyard, typically used to secure the knife to a belt loop or backpack, was still attached, but it had been cleanly snapped, its frayed ends telling a silent story of force or sudden impact. The discovery sent a jolt through the cold case unit. After 10 years of silence, of fruitless searches and fading hope, a tangible piece of evidence had emerged from the depths of Cantwell Cliffs. This was not merely a random lost item. Its specific type and the broken lanyard spoke volumes. The news resonated immediately with Ranger Wiles, who had personally overseen the initial, exhaustive search. His mind raced, connecting the object to the missing scout. Could this be Brendan's knife? The initial surge of professional purpose was tempered by a grim realization. A solitary knife, found 10 years later in such a hidden, inaccessible spot, offered renewed hope for answers, but simultaneously painted a somber picture of the fate that likely befell the young scout. The wilderness had finally given up a clue, but the implications were heavy with the weight of long-held fears. The discovery of the pocket knife immediately reactivated the dormant case of Brendan McHale. Ranger Cody Wiles, whose initial search efforts had ended in frustration a decade prior, wasted no time. The old files, once relegated to a dusty shelf, were pulled, their contents meticulously reviewed, but now with a crucial, tangible piece of evidence to anchor the investigation. The Park Service, in conjunction with state authorities, mobilized a specialized team. Their focus narrowed to the specific remote sandstone slot where the knife had been found. This was no longer a blind search across hundreds of acres. It was a targeted forensic examination of a precise location. The pocket knife itself became the central exhibit. It was transported to a state forensic lab, where meticulous analysis began. Experts carefully examined the blade, searching for any microscopic traces of blood, fabric, or skin, though the passage of 10 years and exposure to the elements made such findings unlikely. The snapped lanyard received particular attention. Its clean break suggested a sudden, forceful separation, perhaps from a fall or a desperate struggle against an unseen force. Yet it was the blade itself that offered the most intriguing, albeit subtle, clue. Minute patches of lichen, a slow-growing composite organism of fungi and algae, adhered to the metal. This seemingly innocuous detail, often overlooked, held the potential to unlock the knife's story and, by extension, Brendan's. Recognizing the unique nature of this biological evidence and the geological context, Ranger Wiles reached out for specialized assistance. His call led him to Dr. Annika Schimek, a distinguished caver and geomorphologist known for her expertise in subterranean environments and the unique ecosystems that thrive within them. Dr. Schimek arrived at Cantwell Cliffs, her keen eye immediately drawn to the intricate rock formations and the specific crevice where the knife had been lodged. Her preliminary assessment of the lichen growth confirmed its significance. Different species grow at different rates, and their size and maturity could offer a rough timeline of exposure. The investigation then shifted its focus intensely on the immediate vicinity of the discovery. Every inch of the narrow sandstone slot and the surrounding rock formations was scrutinized. Teams painstakingly searched for any other anomalies, a dislodged rock, a scuff mark, a faint impression that might have gone unnoticed in the initial, broader searches. Dr. Schimek, working alongside Ranger Wiles, began to theorize the mechanics of how the knife came to be so precisely wedged. Its position suggested it had fallen from above, impacting the narrow fissure with sufficient force to snap the lanyard, then settling into an almost perfectly concealed resting place, protected from the elements and the eyes of searchers for a decade. The sheer unlikelihood of its discovery and its seemingly deliberate concealment by the geology itself added another layer of grim fascination to the renewed inquiry. Dr. Annika Schimek's specialized knowledge proved indispensable, transforming a subtle biological detail into a critical timestamp. Her meticulous analysis of the lichen growth on the pocketknife blade provided an invaluable piece of the puzzle. Different species of lichen grow at predictable, albeit slow, rates. By identifying the specific species present and assessing their maturity, Dr. Schimek was able to narrow the window of the knife's exposure to the elements, confirming that it had been wedged in the sandstone slot for approximately 10 years, a timeline that precisely aligned with Brendan McHale's disappearance in the autumn of 2006. This scientific validation solidified the connection between the recovered artifact and the cold case, shifting the investigation from mere speculation to a targeted search for a tragic truth. With the knife confirmed as a probable link to Brendan, the focus intensified on the immediate geological environment surrounding its discovery. Ranger Wiles and Dr. Schimek theorized that if the knife had fallen from above, there might be a corresponding, yet hidden, path downward. The challenge lay in locating something that had remained concealed for a decade in an area already extensively searched. Dr. Schimek proposed an innovative technique, dye tracing a seasonal seep. Cantwell Cliffs was riddled with natural springs and ephemeral water flows that often indicated deeper, unseen fissures and passages within the sandstone. A harmless, fluorescent dye was carefully introduced into a small, seasonal seep located directly above the knife's discovery site. The principle was simple. Water finds the path of least resistance, and the dye would reveal any subterranean conduits. The team waited, their gaze fixed on the rock face and the ground below, for any sign of the vibrant green tracer. Hours passed, then a full day. Just as frustration began to mount, a faint, emerald shimmer appeared in a previously unnoticed trickle of water emerging from a tiny, almost imperceptible crack in the sandstone wall, several feet below the initial seep and significantly deeper than the knife's resting place. This was the breakthrough. The dye had exposed a hidden crawlway, a narrow, sinuous passage previously obscured by rock falls, dense moss, and the sheer complexity of the cliff face. Accessing this newly revealed conduit was a perilous undertaking. The crawlway proved to be exceptionally tight, a dark, claustrophobic tunnel requiring expert cavers to navigate on hands and knees, often squeezing through passages barely wide enough for a human body. Each inch of progress was slow, painstaking, and fraught with the risk of dislodging loose rock. After what felt like an interminable journey into the earth, the passage unexpectedly opened into a small, vertical shaft. Below, partially obscured by a thick, suffocating layer of fallen leaves and detritus, lay a leaf-choked pit. This natural trap was entirely concealed beneath a dense overhang, making it utterly invisible from the surface and from any angle previously explored by search teams. It was a perfect, tragic snare, a natural prison that had held its secret for a decade. The confluence of the dated knife, the die-traced crawlway, and the hidden pit provided the undeniable confirmation. The long-lost Boy Scout, Brendan McHale, had finally been found. The discovery of the hidden pit initiated a somber, highly specialized recovery operation. Access to the leaf-choked shaft was arduous, requiring rappelling experts and meticulous care to preserve the scene. Under the watchful eyes of Ranger Cody Wiles and Dr. Annika Schimek, a team descended into the narrow confines, working with a reverence born of the long wait for answers. Within the depths, amidst the accumulated layers of leaves and sediment, Brendan McHale's remains were finally located, 10 years after he had vanished without a trace. Brendan McHale's final moments could now be pieced together with tragic clarity. Forensic analysis, combined with the geological context, indicated that he had indeed turned back for his dropped glove, just as his patrol had moved ahead. In his haste, or perhaps simply misjudging the treacherous terrain in the waning light, he had inadvertently stumbled or fallen into the concealed crawlway. The pocket knife, torn from his person with a snapped lanyard, had become wedged in the sandstone crevice, a silent marker of his descent. The crawlway, as revealed by the die tracing, led directly to the vertical shaft and the leaf-choked pit below the overhang. It was a natural trap, perfectly hidden from above, from the sides, and from any conventional search method. He had fallen into an inescapable natural prison, perishing from his injuries or exposure, his cries for help swallowed by the earth itself. His complete disappearance, which had baffled searchers for a decade, was now tragically explained by the very geology of Cantwell Cliffs. For Brendan's family, the news brought a devastating, yet profound form of closure. The agonizing uncertainty, the decade-long void of not knowing, was finally replaced by a grim truth. While the outcome was the one they had long feared, the answers provided a pathway, however painful, towards healing. His remains were returned, allowing for a proper burial and a final farewell, a dignity denied for so long. The resolution of the McHale case stood as a testament to the unwavering perseverance of individuals like Ranger Cody Wiles, whose commitment to the cold case never faltered. Equally critical was the innovative expertise of Dr. Annika Schimek, whose specialized knowledge in geomorphology and lichen dating proved indispensable in unlocking the wilderness's secrets. Their combined efforts, spanning a decade of quiet determination and a sudden burst of forensic ingenuity, brought forth the truth. This tragic story underscored the profound power and inherent dangers of Hocking Hills, untamed wilderness, even in seemingly familiar areas. It highlighted the critical importance of maintaining group formation, especially in challenging terrain, and served as a stark, enduring reminder for scout troops and park visitors alike to respect the hidden perils that can lie beneath the surface, unseen and unforgiving. The mystery of Brendan McHale's vanishing had finally been solved, a bittersweet victory that closed a painful chapter, yet etched the young scout's memory forever into the ancient, silent canyons of Cantwell Cliffs.